Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday afternoon. Hello, Kelly. I'm coming to you quite a bit later than I usually do because I had a card buffet this morning. And so everybody left. And because I have 16 cards, whoa, that's really bright. Because I have 16 cards that I have the ladies do, or they do eight, but they have 16 to pick from. I was really, really short on blocks, and all of my stamp pads that I needed were being used as well. So I had to quickly make sure I had everything in all of my buckets before I could go live. So I'm a little bit later than I had wanted to, but I'm so glad that some of you are catching me live. It's nice to see your comments. Hey, Carrie, I put the stuff out on my porch for you whenever you stop by. Hello, Kay. And Bonnie, looks like you're on here. And Joyce, I'm so glad that you could join me today. I am going to be featuring some new product today. So we are going to be looking at the Regency Park Suite. I have a card with that. We're going to be looking at the Seaside, what is it called? Seaside Spray, I think, or something. Seaside Bay. And we're going to be making a card with that. And then Lighting the Way was really, really popular when I asked last week. And so I am going to be doing a card with that. So thank you so much for joining me either live or replay, whatever it might be. I have a little bit of happy mail to share with you. Sarah Markwart was at my buffet this morning and she brought this cute thank you note. She has this, she won, or I think she got it as a gift, this cute owl set. And look at what she did with this card. Isn't that just adorable? Hoot, hoot, you're so cute. And then on the inside, it says thank you. So thank you so much, Sarah, for this really, really cute card. Those owls are just so adorable. Then we'll get to prizes right away, and then we'll get to stamping. Hello, Kathy Miller. I see you're on here. For commenting last week. So last week we made this real simple card, which was our ink stamp and paper. So all you needed was ink stamps and paper. You didn't need a die cut machine or anything like that. And then we made this one, and it pulls out and has our whole farm scene, which was fun. And then there's a greeting on the back. So receiving these for commenting last week. So anytime you comment, your name gets put into a drawing. And this week it's Tammy Litsky. So Tammy, I will get these. I do have your address. I will get these out in the mail to you. And then for sharing. So if you hit share and you add this anywhere on your Facebook group or a Facebook page or private message, you get entered into a drawing. And for sharing and winning these opaque, adhesive backed gems, they have like a fresh freesia and gorgeous grape. And I think that might be, oh gosh, what is that? Is that melon? I don't know if it's melon mambo or if it's flirty flamingo, but and white. They're just gorgeous. For sharing is Anna Machicati. I don't know if I pronounced that correct or not, Anna. So if you see this, I do not believe that I have your address. I will look and double check, but I don't think I have your address. So you would need to send that to me. Hello, Sandy from Ohio. Welcome. And then for placing an order. So anytime you place an order, your name gets put into a drawing. And we had quite a few orders now that this catalog and celebration is in full swing. People are getting their orders in. So receiving this sending support. I love this stamp set because it has so many great greetings in it that you can put on the outside or the inside of your card. And some of them go together really well. So receiving this is Diane Van Grell. So Diane, I will get this to you. And thank you to all of you who placed orders this week. Oh, what a week it was. We were blessed, with a snow day. And it was kind of a lame snow day. It probably should have just been a 2-hour delay. Hello, Karen. It probably should have just been a 2-hour delay, but we had a snow day. I had my furnace, something was wrong with it. They needed to fix it. And so I was down to 55 degrees in my house. It was a little cold. Lila and I were freezing a little bit. But we put lots and lots of layers on, and we made it. And but anyway, that day was a blessing because it helped me to get caught up on some things. So I actually, that night was probably the earliest that I have been to bed in, I don't even know how long. I was in bed by 9:30, and that doesn't ever happen around here. Usually it's more like midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, sometimes even 3 o'clock in the morning before I get done with some of the stuff that I have to do for either my stamping job or for my other job. And so it was such a huge blessing to be able to get that extra time to go to bed. So I'm trying to see if I have anyone on YouTube. I think I have to put this. Mary Van Domlin is on YouTube. So hello, Mary. Hello, Kay. I think I'm going to go ahead and flip to my phone and we will start stamping. I do have 3 cards today. And like I said, they all feature some new product. So you can get a chance to see some cards created with some of the new things in the new mini catalog. So I'm going to flip over here. And again, I do not have my dimensions all typed up yet. I am going to have to do that. I've got a couple of things that are in the camera here. I'm going to have to type up those dimensions and post them just a little bit later because I did not get that done. I had people over here last night for a card buffet and here all morning, and that part just didn't get done. So we are featuring in this first card, which is going to be our paper, ink, and stamps. And we're going to be featuring this combination. It's one of those mega suites. So it's 2. This is a punch. And we're going to be using that punch. I have it in here. A punch and a stamp set. And these are dies in a stamp set. So we're going to use the greetings from here. And we're going to use some flowers from here along with this punch in this card that we're going to be doing. So ink, stamp, paper, but I use a punch because you could always fussy cut. So it doesn't require any embossing or anything like that. So I did do a punch in this one, but anyhow, I didn't get my paper sampler done of this one. I don't think. No, I did not. So I can't show you all of the paper, but maybe for next week I will have that for you. Okay, we've got some beautiful, beautiful colors in this card. This paper just has gorgeous colors in. I just absolutely love it. Hello, Kay. I don't know if I said hello to you. Sandy saying hello to everyone. All right, so this is our balmy blue. It's 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at 4 1/4. I have for the inside a layer of 4 by 5 1/4. I've got 4 by 5 1/4 of Night of Navy. I also have then some of this DSP. This is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And there should also be a little 1/4 inch strip. Ooh, I might have to go cut that. It might be somewhere on my, probably on the cupboard that it's probably just got lost and didn't get put in here. So this is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. This is going to be for my envelope so that we can decorate that. And I apologize for my hands. I had some orange re-inker that kind of exploded on me. So this is a strip of 3/4 inch. I think it's this one I need. Yeah, this is just a 3/4 inch strip that we're going to be using for our stamping as well. So I'm going to start with our stamping, and oh goodness, these stamps are just, or this set is just beautiful. And I did have some white scrap paper, and let me just grab some. I'm not as organized as I thought I was. Here's some white. Go ahead. Nope, that is shimmer white. Goodness, I hope the rest of them are packed better than this. I was packing them up last night, and then I was making notes for myself of what I needed to add to it. Oh, and one of the things I had to add was a Night of Navy ink pad. And I mixed that. Just a second. Our next one has Night of Navy as well. So we've got Night of Navy. Holy cow. Sorry, ladies. It's kind of crazy when you've got all morning, you've had people here and you've been stamping and all of your stuff. Like, this is probably a bigger block than I need, but I can't remember which way I think it goes this way. Okay, so that is for that. On the inside, I'm going to use the Let's Celebrate on the outside. And on the inside, I want it to say you. And then I'm going to put happy birthday. I don't know if you saw it, but there are so many different occasions on this. So there's your graduation, your anniversary, let's celebrate. You are amazing. Thanks. Just for, and then you, and best wishes, your new baby. So there's so many different occasions that you could use this for. That's one of the reasons I just loved this stamp set. All right, let's see here. I'm just checking my comments. So you put that in there, and then I'm going to put happy birthday right underneath it. I'm going to stand up so that I don't get my head in the camera and then I get this sort of centered. There we go. All right. I also am going to grab some Balmy Blue paper and I'm going to trim off just a little bit. I just really did not do a very good job with this card with putting all the pieces that I need. I need a little scrap of Balmy Blue. And I'm going to do a couple of these petals, and I don't remember which direction they go. So I am going to space them out a little bit. I suppose I could grab my punch and look, but we're going to leave it at that. All right, I am done with my Night of Navy ink. I'm going to put it in the next bucket because we're going to use that there. I have some Versamark. And on this 3/4 inch strip, which I have it quite long because this is going to go across my paper and I'm going to trim it. So I just wanted to have a pretty good size and I don't want to stamp this right at the end. I want to put it somewhere in the middle. So let's celebrate. That's what it says on this stamp. And then I have my white embossing powder. And we'll just throw some of that on here and tap it off. Now, you would use, whoops, I lost my E here. There we go. We would heat emboss this, and through the magic of TV, I have that done for us already, the Let's Celebrate. Okay, we have to, I'm going to put some of this away. I'm going to bring in this marker, and I have a little bit of, let me get my powder off of here. I got a little bit of powder on some of these. This has a punch. So here is our punch that goes along with this. I thought this went this way. Okay, so that I'm going to punch out there. And I should have used my first guess, which was when I did this last night. I thought it went that way, but I wasn't positive. Let's throw this in here. Let me do this. I'm going to show you guys a trick. Now, this isn't long enough for me to hold in there, so I'm going to grab a Post-it note. I have Post-it notes all over the place because I was leaving notes for myself. I'm going to go ahead and hold on to this with a Post-it note and put this in here. That way I can salvage that other. There we go. Now you could fussy cut this out because this is, like I said, I'm kind of counting this as my ink, paper, and stamp card because although it is, there we go, Although it does use a punch, you wouldn't have to use the punch. Go ahead and hold on to this so that we can get that in there and line it up. Post-it notes are so helpful in so many ways in stamping. This is just one of them. Okay, so we've got those, and we're also going to punch this out. Did I remember which way this went? I'm going to have to cut a little bit of this corner off. Usually you should look at your punch, and I thought I was going by memory, and I shouldn't do that because as I'm getting older, my memory is not as good as it used to be. Okay, I'm going to line all three of those flowers up and punch. 1, 2, and 3. All right, I'm going to get some of these scraps, put them in my scrap bin here. It's just a little coffee mug on my desk. It kind of serves as my scrap bin. All right, now we're going to go ahead and take our Balmy Blue Stampin' Write marker, and I'm just going to add some little marks of this lighter blue in here. I don't want to color the whole thing in. I just want to add a little bit of it, kind of like the paper did. It was white, and there's some little balmy blue on the inside, but then the outside is in the navy. So I'm just kind of imitating the paper just a little bit with this Stampin' Blend marker. All right, I don't need to add a whole lot, but I'm just adding a little bit of blue to it to add into the color. All right, get some of this out of here, and let's go ahead. I think I only need 2 of those, but I did stamp 3 in case I decided I wanted 3. All right, this is going to layer on top of this Night of Navy panel. And I'm just going to use regular liquid glue. Sure I am. There we go. All right, I think I need a little pin to get some of the dried off glue out of there. Does that happen to you sometimes? It happens to me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this across here like this. Okay, so I'm going to put that down, and we're just going to trim it at the ends. So I'm going to go ahead, and I think when I made my sample, I did. I put it just on the designer paper instead of putting it on with the Night of Navy panel, but we will make this work here. I think I'm going to make it a little longer. There we go. Put it anywhere you want on here. It doesn't have to be in any particular spot. All right, I'm going to go ahead and trim this. I'm going to try to trim it. There we go. Flip over here. Oh, I'm going to get a little bit of glue on my scissors, but that's okay. All right, and then that is going to go on the front. I'm going to keep these so that I have my dimensions when I go to type this up. That is going to go, a little bit of ink there, or glue. That's going to go on the front of our card. It's just kind of a fun way to add a greeting. If you have a greeting that's kind of like this, where it's long and skinny and can just be stamped kind of on an angle like that. All right, with our flowers, we are going to pop these up on some dimensionals. And I think I'm going to have to cut one for this one. I don't have any minis sitting at my desk right now, so we'll just use the edge. I'm going to take these off. And I started with the largest one and placed that one where I wanted it, and then kind of just stuck in these other 2. Pretty easy. Add a little glue to the back of this. There we go. And pop some of these in there. And just put these kind of wherever you would like to. Just like that. Okay, so we've got that started. You can see those flowers on there. I did also take a little bit of Wink of Stella. Now let's put our inside in. Let me grab and trim off that 1/2 inch piece. I'm realizing I don't have the gems here for this. They're all in buckets because I had that card buffet today. It's not ideal for me to do this on a day when I have a card buffet because almost every ink pad in my collection seems to be out in buckets for people to make their cards. And I have all my gems and all my punches, and I have a lot of dies, and they are all in buckets so that the ladies can make them with the cards that they chose to make. Look at that. All right, this is for our envelope. So this is our basic card today that we're making. That doesn't require us to have any sort of die cutting machine. This one did use a punch, and we did do a little heat embossing. But it's just a very simple and quick layout with a beautiful result in a card. I'm going to go ahead and trim this. And then just going to ask you to hang tight for a second. And I'm going to go get some of the gems. All right, it was in bucket 14. I didn't even know what bucket. Oh, and I got disconnected. There we go. Oh, there we go. Sorry, ladies. It's just been kind of a crazy one here today. Thanks for sticking with me. All right, look at these beautiful milky dots. One of my favorites from the catalog. And I'm going to grab one of these big ones. Let's grab this big one over here. There we go. And I think we'll do a couple of little ones. I need to get more putty on my end. It's pretty done. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I just absolutely love this paper. The paper does all the work on this. And those little flowers just popped up just like the flowers on the paper. And then the inside. So that is our card number 1, which is our more basic card today. I'm going to keep my white embossing powder out because I'm going to need it for every card today. I'm going to put the rest of this stuff away. And I'm going to grab our second card. Oh, here's our second card. That's where my Night of Navy stamp pad was. And we're going to be featuring the Seaside Bay Suite. So it has this sea looking like the clam and the crab and the bird and the shells, and oh, just love. I had to do that for a swap. I had to design 2 cards. So this is one of the cards that I designed for that swap. I actually had it in my card buffet today, and it's so funny because the ladies were like, oh my gosh, that card looks so much better in person than it does in the pictures you send us. So here is our card base, which is 8.5 by 4.5, and I scored it at 5.5 so that it's going to be a little where this is called a Joyfold card. So for those of you that are looking for names, I don't know why they call it a Joyfold, but that's what it's called. Then the other piece that we have as part of our Joyfold is 8 by 3, and I scored that at 4 inches. So that's going to open up the opposite way in the center of here, right? I have a piece of basic white that's 3 5/8 by 2 5/8, and I have 2 pieces of crumb cake that measure 3 7/8 by 2 7/8. So those are going to be layered on the outside here, and they're going to be layered on the outside here. And I do have, here's my crumb cake. So 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then I have one that's 2 3/4 by 4. And then this big one is 4 by 5 1/4. So those are all my crumb cake dimensions. So I was wrong on that. It was actually 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. See, I shouldn't guess. All right, my DSP, here's that other crumb cake one. My DSP, the one with the shells, is 3 7/8 by 2 5/8. And I don't know, yeah, I think you can in the camera. See how that is like iridescent? Oh, it's just gorgeous. We have this wood grain looking paper that measures 3 5/8 by 2 5/8. And then this background that looks like it's the sky with the sand and the water. This one is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Just gorgeous. All of these have one side has kind of like an iridescent look to it, and then the other side is plain. So I'm going to go ahead again and keep my Post-it notes so that I have those later. All right, we are going to start by stamping a little bit on this wood grain. We're going to stamp a little bit on the inside. I also have some scraps for us to do some stamping and some die cutting. And let's see, let's start with our little seashells. And I did have, let's see, a little scrap. Let me get a scrap for underneath here for stamping. There we go. That keeps my surface a little cleaner. All right, so on this wood grain, we're just going to take these little seashells, and in some crumb cake ink, we are just going to stamp some of those across the bottom. Okay, just like that. So there's like a little bit of seashells down there. We're going to do the same thing with our layer that's going to go on the inside. Just going to stamp some of those along the bottom. Pretty easy, right? Okay, Night of Navy is my next color that I'm going to be bringing in. And I'm going to be stamping that right there. There we go. And then I have a scrap of Night of Navy. I should have a scrap of Night of Navy. And I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do with that because I don't seem to have one in here right now. All right, we are going to, in the crumb cake, cut out one of these little, like little seagrass, right? We have a die that will cut that out for us. And we have, this is our scrap of Night of Navy that is going to be cut into this banner and stamped and heat embossed with thank you for everything. Okay, so those are our dies. And I apologize, I'm kind of like all over the place here. So this is the stamp. Thank you for everything. And I would just Versamark that and heat emboss, just like we did in the last one. Okay, now that we have all of our stamping done and everything is cut, right, it's time for us to put all of this together. So let me grab the things that I need. Here we go. And we are ready to put this whole thing together. So I've said this a lot of times, I am a layer queen. I like to layer things a lot. So I decided to layer this background on a little bit of crumb cake to pull out that crumb cake that's in that paper. And that is going to go on the back of, or the inside, I guess, of this card. All right, then we're going to take that same crumb cake and we're going to layer these seashells because there's crumb cake that is in this paper, that paper as well, that you can see bits and pieces of it. And it brings that color kind of throughout the entire card. And so the crumb cake is just showing, it's just 1/8 of an inch larger than the DSP. So it's just barely sticking out, but I just think it adds just a little bit of something to the card rather than just putting the DSP right on it. You could put the DSP right on there if you wanted to. Okay, each of these layers, I'm also going to layer with some crumb cake. So we've got a lot of crumb cake that's being used here. Look at that on the back. I don't know if you can see the gold fleck in with all of those seashells. Beautiful. This paper is just gorgeous. And like the lady said, oh my gosh, you can't see that when you're taking a picture of the card and you're trying to decide which cards they want to make. So I send them a Google form and they pick out the cards they want to make. And then they get here and they're like, oh, can you keep that card for next? Because I always carry 4 over from 1 month to the next. Can that be the one that you carry over? I'm like, you bet, I'll carry that one over. Because some of them wished that they had chosen that one because it does look so pretty in person. All right, we're going to put this in the bottom here and the inside, I should say, of this card. It's going to be blank so that we can write our own message. Okay, and again, the fold is, or you're going to be folding it and it's going to open the opposite way a card normally does. So just so you put that the correct way. And then this is going to go on the top. And we're going to decorate this yet. Goes there. And then this is going to be centered in here, and then this will just flip inside of there and it'll open like that. So I always just open this up and just center it on the center of this right here, this background. Okay, so I try to center that up as best I can, top and bottom, right and left. Whoops. Gives you a little wiggle room, but you don't want to wiggle it when you already had it straight. All right, I'm just trying to press this down good. And then that pops just inside of there like that. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to put some of this seagrass, I think that's what that is, to bring in that crumb cake. I'm just going to put a little bit of that blue behind there. Now they've got a couple of these going in different directions. I opted just to use the one on this card rather than putting more than one. And then I'm going to throw this on some dimensionals. And pop that right here. And I'm going to throw my greeting on dimensionals. Now you could also, there's not a happy birthday in this set, but I know one of the ladies said I would probably put happy birthday on there and make it a masculine birthday card because sometimes those are difficult to come by. I'm just going to put that thank you right there. And then, oh gosh, Look at these adhesive backed pearls. These are just gorgeous. Now I'm going to have to open another pack because I do need one of the larger ones that were down here. And I happen to have another pack of those. So I just have to grab one here. I think I have another pack of those. I'm pretty certain I do. Oh, let's see. Here they are. I've got 2 more packs of them. Now, what I do with my gems is I will cut, instead of having to fight with the adhesive on the top, I just cut that on the side and pull them out of the side. So I can always slide them back in. So I'm going to take one of these big ones and I'm going to put that right in the center of where that pearl would be. And then I'm going to take a couple of these smaller ones and I'm going to set one down here. And I think I'm going to put one up there in the greeting. Okay, so thank you for everything. And then there's a place for you to write your greeting on the inside. Super, super simple, but yet I think this could be masculine. I think it could be for a female. I think it could go for just about anything. So I really love this stamp set for that reason. I think it's very, very versatile and can be used for a number of things. There's also a sympathy stamp, heartfelt sympathy, in this one. And they have some really, really soft pastel-y like papers in this as well. Like this one's really, really bright with the blues and stuff like that and the navies. But there's some that have some like petal pinks and that crumb cake and some of the really softer shades that would make a really nice heartfelt sympathy card. And I can show you some of those. Maybe I'll do that next week. I'll show you some of the swaps that I received with this stamp set. I didn't pull them all off my board because honestly, I was rushing a little bit just to be able to get on when I did today once everyone left. And I thought that I grabbed everything that I needed for all the cards that I was making and then found out that I was missing a lot of stuff. All right, I'm going to put some of that beautiful paper on here to wow them from the minute they get the card. They can't wait to open it because the outside is so wow already. And in this case, I almost wish we still had our crumb cake or our craft envelopes because I would definitely use one for this card. But because I used white on the inside, I chose a white envelope. So there is our card number 2. It's called a Joyfold with our Seaside Bay stamp set and bundle of products. All right, card number 3 was a stamp set that came highly recommended or requested, I should say, last week when I put out there that I was wondering what you might like to see. And a lot of people said, how about Lighting the Way? And I didn't have it. So I ordered it. Oh, yeah, Mary, I'm on. You can catch the replay. I had to go a little bit later because I had a card buffet today. But Lighting the Way was like one of the stamp sets that was really, really requested quite a bit. And I really didn't know what I was going to do with this stamp set. So when I was stuck, what I did was I opened up the catalog to the stamp set and I'm like, I've got to find, like, I've got to look at what they did so that I can get an idea. And let me see, I didn't mark this. Here it is. So I was looking at these samples that they had in here, and this one kind of caught my eye. So I liked the two-tone paper, two-tone floral paper that was in there. And I loved the color combination, and I loved how they put the, I don't know if you can see this, but with the little light lantern, I guess, they have like a different color around the outside, and they had a different color on the inside. And I really liked that. I liked how they had this stamped with a little yellow in the center, but I kind of thought it needed to be bigger and fill up more of that space. I kind of wanted to put a little fun fold. I like the color combination with the little fire flies. So I used that as my inspiration to come up with this fun fold using Lighting the Way. So I'm going to keep this out here so that I can stamp on it. So I'm using the color combinations that they had, but my card base, instead of being a normal card base like they had, mine is 7 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I scored it at 4 1/4. So there's just like a little bit open here. I also have, this is soft succulent. I also have some soft succulent that's 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and I just scored on one of those at 1 inch. Okay, so that's my second one. My designer series paper, I think this is for my envelope. I think this is the one I want. I have 2 3/4 by 5 1/4, and I have a 1/2 inch by 5 1/4. All right, those are my two designer series papers. I have, this is soft seafoam, and this is 4 by 5 1/4. That's going to be for my inside, so I'm going to use that. It's light enough that I can use it as my neutral color. And then this measures 4 by 3, and that's also soft seafoam. And then I have some scraps that we're going to be using, some crumb cake and some basic white. And then I already cut these out. So this is in some of our copper foil because that's what they used on that picture. And then the sides and this inside was done in evening evergreen. So what I did was I put some adhesive sheets to the back of this. Notice I didn't cut the entire lantern because I didn't need this top part and I really don't need this bottom part. What we're going to do is we're going to cut this apart and we're going to piece it and put it on top of this. The other thing that I did was I cut out a lantern and I put these middle pieces, I taped those back inside of there so that I could use that as a little template so that I could, remember how I said I wanted to fill out? I have someone at my house. Who's at my house? Just a second, I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I had agreed to put a political sign up in my, not political, but somebody's running for a position and they asked if they could put a sign in my yard. And I guess they wanted to talk to me or say I'm here, not just put it up. So anyway, I'm back. Sorry about that. So what I did was I cut this out. I pieced this back in so that I could use my sponge dauber and I could go ahead and fill that whole part in so it looks like the whole thing is lit up. I also use this as a mask so that as I put the grass down below, it didn't get onto my lantern. That'll all make sense in a second. So let's start with that. Then we'll piece this all together. So this is where I'm going to build and where I'm going to be eventually putting my lantern. So I'm going to just kind of set this down here so that it can be my mask. And I can use this over and over again if I want to use it with different colors or whatever, or if I want to use something to mask over the top of it, I can go ahead and I can use this little lantern that I taped back together. So I'm using some Daffodil Delight ink. And what I'm going to do is make sure that I have this straight. And I'm just going to see why I wanted to put those pieces back in. I would have easily then have that yellow going on to where I didn't want it to go. I wanted it to stay in the center of the lantern. And this kind of helps me with these little cross lines here because it's going to help me know where to line up the lantern that I'm actually going to be using. All right, I'm going to take some soft succulent because that was my paper color that I had. And I'm going to take this stamp that is like little blades of grass. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to randomly, this is what they had done on that card that I told you that I was using as my inspiration. They had just kind of used this and put some blades of grass in different locations. Okay, I'm done with that. I'm also going to, on the inside of my card, use this same stamp, and I'm going to, again, just randomly put some of these along the bottom. Okay. We are also going to stamp a greeting on the inside of our card, and it's going to say, "You are all kinds of wonderful." Oh, I just loved this greeting when I saw it. All right, and I want one of those little fireflies in there. So I'm going to use that in, I'm going to use the same colors that they did in that card. So this is Rich Razzleberry. I'm just going to take this guy and I'm going to put the littler one right up there. And then I'm going to take this little circle stamp, and in the Daffodil Delight, I'm just going to light him up a little bit by adding just a little bit of ink to the bottom part. So that's going to be the inside of our card. This is the start of the outside. I'm going to take that scrap that we had. This is kind of a bigger scrap than I need, but I'm going to stamp one of the larger fireflies. And I'm going to take that smaller one again. And I have the two circles. I have the smaller circle and I have the larger circle. All right, we have dies that will cut both of those out. And so through the magic of TV, I have those here for us already. Okay, I'm going to set these aside because I have to do a swap card, and I might be doing this for my swap card. I have a swap that I have to have done by Thursday, 15 of them. I kind of forgot about it. And all of a sudden we got a little email reminder this week, thank goodness. And I was like, oh gosh, I have to do that swap card. All right, so let's go ahead and close these up. Because knowing me, I would get something dropped inside of those with ink. I'm going to go ahead and bring out my greeting that says, "Thanks for lighting the way." And I'm going to grab some Versamark ink. Remember how I said every one of our cards is going to have white embossing on it? This is going to have white embossing. And this is just like it was in the catalog. It's where I came up with the idea. I didn't, other than changing the fold and changing the light in the center. So what they used in the center was they took one of these circles and just stamped it in the center to get it its light. I felt it needed to be filled more. And you could probably go back in. We can try it. Maybe putting that even over the top of that so that you can still kind of see where the like flame would be, but that the rest of it is also lit up. Okay, so thanks for lighting the way. And we would heat emboss that. And through the magic of TV, I have that done as well. Okay, so you don't have to listen to my heat embossing machine or tool, or I guess you would call it. And I think all of our stamping is done. Why don't we, just to see what it would look like, let's take, hopefully I like it after we do it. Let's take this and just kind of put I don't know that you're going to see that all too well. It's a little bit darker, but not much. But that's okay. We can kind of see where the light comes from, I guess, where the light bulb, I guess, would, or center of it would be. All right, let me set these aside. And we are ready to put this card together. Okay, so let me set this aside. Let me set this aside. Let's go ahead and work with our lantern first. So what I need to do is I want certain parts of this to be glued on top of that. So there's a little line. I don't know if you can see that real well, but there's this little line right here that I'm going to just follow to snip that off. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. There's a little line there. I'm just going to follow that and snip it off. And same thing on the bottom. This one is curved a little bit. So I'm just going to curve it. So that's my left side. And then here I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to curve that. Okay, because I put adhesive sheets on the back of this, all I have to do is pull that little sticker off. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that off. Now this is what's going to be fun because I got to do this over the top of a camera. Okay, I'm going to just set that right on top of that side. And I'm going to do the same thing with that one. There we go. And then I'm going to cut this little piece that's supposed to be like a little wire. Cutting that out and then pulling that adhesive back off the back as well. Here we go. I think I'm going to have to look at this a little bit closer. Sorry, I'm bringing it a little bit closer up to me so I can line this up. Trying to keep it as much as I can in the camera and still be able to look at it. All right. All right, so there we've added that green to the inside and to the outside of our lantern. Okay, now to put this all together. I'm going to start by taking this little piece and we're going to burnish the side of it really well. And what I'm going to do with that, go ahead and burnish this as well. I'm going to, on this little tab, add the glue. I think I need a new thing of glue actually. Oh, there we go. Spread that around. Okay, then I want this crease where this fold is, I want that to line up along this edge. Okay, so I'm going to do that and I'm going to try to center it top and bottom as well, as best I can. Okay, once I have that in place, this inside piece is going to just be glued right inside of there to cover up that little tab that's in there. Okay, this is going to go on the outside. Let's actually Let's add our DSP over on that side, designer series paper. Okay, so this has that evening evergreen kind of in it, along with the Daffodil Delight that we put in the center of the lantern. This is going to go on here. Right, and then our lantern, we can kind of tell where that has to go. Okay, because those little lines that are going through it, we can line up with our lantern. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on the top and the bottom and around the sides here a little bit. Don't need a lot because you don't want it squeezing out. And I'm going to stand up and so I can line that up. There we go. And then, oops, you know what? I forgot to add this. We're going to add this to the inside. Were you all yelling at me saying, you've got a little piece of paper over there? Okay, that just brings a little bit of that DSP to the inside. Okay, and then we've got our little fireflies here. And we're going to throw those on some dimensionals. Put that one right there. And this one, I think I'm going to have to cut one of these here. So it's a little bit smaller. I'm going to put that one up there. It's coming together. All right, and then I felt like this needed something, so I looked at what they did, and they actually used punch to punch out the edges to have like a little design on them. And I just want to get this centered here. Okay, so I've got that end. And we'll throw this in this end. Okay, so thanks for lighting the way. And we're just going to pop that right there with some dimensionals. Throw some dimensionals on either end. All right, and there is our lighting the way card. Now let's go ahead and design up here, or fancy up our envelope to match. And I think I'm going to stamp one of those fireflies on the front of it too, because that would be so fun, right? And I had my paper cut this way. It almost looks like it should be cut the other way, and I didn't want to cut another piece. So hopefully this will end up looking okay this way. Felt like it probably should have been. Oh, that looks fine. I was trying to picture it. I'm like, it kind of looks like it's backwards, but let's see. Where are my ink pads? Here they are. So let's put a little make sure I'm doing it the correct way. And we'll bring our yellow in here. There we go. So there's our envelope decorated on the front and the back to go along with our little lantern card. Thanks for lighting the way. You are all kinds of wonderful. Now I probably should have put this strip first and then stamp those over to the right or put the firefly going the opposite direction. I should have had that paper on there. I was not thinking when I did that, but it's homemade, right? So there's got to be, it can't be completely perfect. Now, the other thing that I have in my bag of goodies here is there are these like glass looking, what do I want to call them? Gems that they had. I'm pretty sure these are the ones that they had. Um, Actually, let's use all little ones. So I'm going to put one of them right there, and we'll put a couple of them up at the top. And that just adds a little bit more to that. So you could make this masculine, you could make it feminine, you could make it kind of neutral like it is, gender neutral like it is here. Let's go ahead. Whoops, I ripped that a little bit. I didn't mean to do that. It just wasn't straight. There we go. So that's card number 3. So we've got our lantern, which was a little bit of a fun fold. Let me clean up here a little bit. We have our Seaside Bay, which was a joy fold, a little bit different. So this one's kind of like a layer. This one is kind of in the middle, but they both have an opening on the right-hand side there. And then we have our Let's Celebrate You card with our Regency Park paper, which is so pretty. So those are our cards for this week. Let me come back to you here. Here I am. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me see if I have to catch up on any. Thank you, Karen. Charlene, you can always go back and watch the replay. Yep. Thanks, Kelly. And thanks, Barbara. I appreciate it. Next week, I'll be back to my normal time of 8:30. I think next week I will. Let me think of next week. Yep, I should be. And then it's the week after that I will not be able to do a Facebook Live. I will be at a women's retreat that weekend, and so I will not be able to go live that weekend. So next weekend will be normal time, though. And if there are any special requests, yeah, let me know. If I have the stamp set, I will do it. Like I said, this Lighting the Way wasn't on my first list, but it was on my list. So I finally broke down and got it, and I did have fun. I wanted to add, I usually start with the catalog and say, is there anything in here that I really like? And how can I change it a little bit? And so that's how I did. That's what I did with that card. And it was pretty easy to put that together. It came together pretty fast. So anyhow, celebration is going on right now. Perfect time to get free stuff. It's only January and February, so that's going to actually go pretty fast. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to go, I have to make a meal for one of my high school classmates had rotator cuff surgery, and they have a meal train going for her because she lives alone. And so I'm going to go make some white chicken chili so that I can bring it over to her later for tonight. So that's what I have in store. As soon as I'm done with that, I will type up the directions and get those posted. It might not be until later tonight or maybe even tomorrow, but I will post the dimensions so that you have them all and you can save them or do whatever you want to do with them. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again next week. Bye-bye. Have a good